This podcast episode is brought to you by GoTo, quality, effective skincare that actually works.
Bonjour and welcome to Self-Helped, the show where we've done the therapy so that you don't have to.
I'm Tully Smythe.
And I'm Maggie Kelly.
And while we're not licensed professionals, we sure have kept quite a few of them in business.
We're best friends in very different life stages, but from shrinks to bookstore bargain bins, we've both sampled the full self-help buffet.
And now we're dishing it out, secondhand, reheated, and seasoned with some questionable life choices. This is Self-Helped.
Tully Ann.
Hello.
Happy first day of spring.
You say that, but we're both sitting here in knits. Melbourne, am I right?
And it was definitely raining outside as we walked in, so not quite.
I had the fireplace on all day, so it's still very much feeling.
You've got an issue with that fireplace? We need to talk about your electricity.
My gas. My gas bill. Don't tell Ned that it's been on all day.
So tell, how's your week been? What's been going on? What's news?
It's been okay. What did I do on the weekend? Went to Geelong.
Girl.
Yeah. Lovely little place,
Geelong?
isn't it? I had a charity ball to raise funds for dementia, which was lovely.
Oh, I do remember this. There was a theme. And what did you go as?
It was Baz Luhrmann.
Lurham, I think it's pronounced.
It was Romeo and Juliet themed.
Oh, cute.
Baz's edition. So
Yes.
I went as obviously Claire Danes because who else is there to go as in that movie?
Well, I was just about to say, I would have to go as Romeo. My new haircut's giving like 90s dashing male lead.
Or
It's
like
a touch too short.
Or like Carol Brady. I think it's the flicks at the end. No, but Googling it, there's no other female characters, nor does she wear anything interesting apart from that famous white dress with the wings. So
Shady Baz Luhrmann.
That's that's what I did. I went as Claire Danes in the white dress, sans wings.
Do you know what else I did this weekend, which I really feel like I need to broach before we get into today? Can we talk about strapless bras? Specifically, strapless bra shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Why has no one figured these out yet?
Okay, now I did see you put this down on our notes, and I actually have figured it out. I
am all ears.
I agree with you. They are the worst.
Yes.
They either squish your boobs into like a little
Mono boob.
Or you're constantly having to pull them up. Or they just, they're not quite like seamless. You get a nude strapless bra to wear with some nice dress, but you can still see.
It's like a shelf. Our producer's nodding right now.
I was just going to say, why is our producer Ali, who is like, how old are you, Ali? You're 26.
26.
Why are you nodding your head?
Why are you nodding your head?
But Maggie, there is a small, I think they're Melbourne, small little local business.
Oh, wait, is it Snad?
This is not an ad.
Hashtag ad.
This is not an ad, but I kept seeing them on Instagram, and I'm a sucker for an Instagram ad.
Yeah.
Like, I will buy it.
Yes.
Even those like fake ads where you get sent, you buy a coffee table book, but you get sent this tiny little
mouse table.
Yeah.
Yes, do a little.
It's called First Thing.
Okay.
And I saw it everywhere, and I was like, you know what? I have to at least give it a go. They are amazing.
Why does this feel novelty in the way that you're describing it? What's
They're
the
not.
gimmick?
They're super comfy. They're jersey.
But do they have structure?
Yeah, there's boning.
Because I think it was Josh Thomas that said his body looks like a melting candle. And I feel like at this age, my body does look like a melting. I need something to like.
Look, I was skeptical. I really was. But they are like a second skin. And I highly recommend them.
Deal. I'm going to buy one. I'm going to wear it whenever it arrives to that week's episode. And we can have
Why don't we get one for Ali too, and he can pop one on too? So we can really feel the pain.
The universality of this show. All right, girlfriend, today's a really big one. I know you're a little bit nervous, so let's get stuck into it. You ready to go?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do the thing.
Welcome back to your weekly therapy session with two super chic besties. Yes, that is Urban List words, not ours, but it's the only title we're accepting from here on out.
Did I screenshot that and post it to our stories immediately? Yes. Yes, I did. I might get it framed. Anyway, this is On the Couch, where one of us spills their guts and the other comes armed with a mop, a bucket, and sometimes a glass of wine, maybe even a strapless bra. So today's episode is a big one. And this is one, Tull, that you've been sitting on for quite some time. And honestly, I didn't know that you were going to want to share it at all.
I don't know that I do want to share it, but here we are.
Too late. So, look, you ripped the Band-Aid off. What are we talking about today?
I'm really nervous, really, really nervous. Probably the most nervous I've been about sharing anything in a very long time.
Yes.
As you know, I'm not one to keep secrets, even my own. I can't even keep the secrets that I'm supposed to keep.
No.
Purely because I'm literally incapable. But I have been keeping a pretty big one since January this year. So January 2025. I have shared so much of my life online for over a decade now, and it's felt really weird having something so ginormous going on behind the scenes, but I feel like I'm finally in a place to open up the floodgates. As someone who has been told their entire life that they are too much, too sensitive, too intense, too emotional, in January this year, I was also told that I have ADHD combined. Now, if you're a close personal friend of mine like you, Mags, or a longtime follower, you might be thinking, duh, like, of course you do. We could see it from a mile away. But being diagnosed with ADHD at 37 was complicated for me. On one hand, it felt like someone had finally handed me the missing puzzle piece that explained decades of my life. And on the other, it was gutting to realize how long I'd been carrying this without the language, support, or understanding.
Okay, so Tal, you've been sitting on this since January, and it's really unlike you. Anyone that follows you online knows that everything's on the table when it comes to you. What was it that made you not want to share this until now?
There are like 100 reasons. The first being that I didn't want to blurt it out and share it and open myself up to opinions, feedback, thoughts, suggestions before I properly understood it myself.
Processed, yeah.
Yeah. ADHD, as I'm sure we're all aware, is having a bit of a moment online, right? TikTok especially. And I was really, really conscious and wary of not looking like I was jumping on a bandwagon or hopping on a trend just because it was everywhere right now. I'd seen others in my industry share their diagnosis and be absolutely slammed for it. And so that thought really scared me. I just needed some time to sit with it, to figure out what this diagnosis actually means for me and my life, and to separate my own story, all the noise.
I think that's fair.
I handled my egg freezing journey similar. I think when something is so personal,
Yes.
and so close to your chest and in many ways life-changing, it's just safer to deal with it privately before you open yourself up to the masses.
Yeah, and you've had experiences in the past where you've shared something super personal and there's just absolute groms out there that will take that opportunity to drag you down. So I can understand that. Maybe you can talk us through the time that you got the diagnosis. Like, when did it happen? What was your reaction? Did you feel like relief? You've sort of just mentioned, well, duh, like, you feel like everyone knew, but did it feel like a surprise? Maybe walk us through when it happened.
Absolutely, relief was the first sort of feeling. I think because I had been doing my research for like a year prior.
Yeah, you'd kind of like self-diagnosed before this point.
Yeah, and I think like many of us, it has been all over TikTok.
Right.
You start to see reel or TikTok after TikTok after TikTok, and you're like, hang on a minute, this is me, that's me. After the third, fourth, fifth, 100th video, that's not really a coincidence anymore. I also had been served, probably because my algorithm was like, hang on a minute here. I've been served an ad for this app called Inflow, which I had to pay for. It wasn't cheap, but basically it was written by a psychiatrist who also has ADHD and specializes in ADHD. And it almost had these little like homework, I love homework.
Yeah.
There were these little daily tasks for you to do.
Okay.
So you'd go through these modules where you'd learn about something to do with ADHD, and then you'd have this little bit of homework to do.
Was this like a test to
Yeah,
self-diagnose?
kind of. Well, no, it was like you'd read about this particular aspect of ADHD.
Right.
And then it would put a question to you and you would go away and you'd sit with it, you would think about it, or you'd write it down yourself.
Okay.
So I was kind of doing my little ADHD homework on the side for about a year. So when I finally got the diagnosis in January, I felt validated. By that point, I was actually so convinced that I had ADHD that I was actually more terrified for my psychiatrist to turn around and say, oh, no, actually you've got XYZ.
Right.
Like that was more terrifying.
Yes.
If she was like, you've got bipolar, because I wasn't prepared for that.
No.
I was really convinced and prepared for ADHD.
Okay, so there was some relief maybe in that
Definitely.
And can I ask, because like we've spoken about this a lot over the last year and through your diagnoses, we kind of joke about it sometimes and joke about ADHD, but today this feels really emotional for you. What's changed? Why does it feel like something that is more emotionally charged at this point?
I think there's a lot of grief attached to the diagnosis as well, and that's apparently very common. You start to wonder what your life might have looked like had you had this information before. And, I go back, you just start, it's like you get this flashback montage in your head, but it's your entire life of all these situations, big pivotal moments that you experienced. everything from, being such a anxious, worried little kid with such a big heart that the news was banned in our household because I would watch something happening around the world and it would be too much for me.
Yeah.
I'd get really upset and I'd want to fix all the problems, and my parents called me a worrywart. It's like looking back through this old photo album with like a different lens and suddenly everything made sense, but it also hurt because you think if I had known this, what could have been different? What would have been different?
Right, it's like a sliding doors moment.
Yeah,
like if someone
100%.
had caught this before I even hit puberty, went through my 20s, went on national television, I'm sure that a lot of that behavior you're now looking at really differently.
Yeah, and it's not about excusing anything. It's about giving it context.
Right.
And context is so important. My life suddenly has this whole different
lens
filter on it.
It's maybe a poor example, but when Paris Hilton came out and spoke about
her
how
voice.
But
no, something more important than that.
But how she had gone to this really abusive send away school, and it gave a new context to this behavior that she had in her 20s. And you also were in the public eye at a really young, pivotal age, obviously dealing with a really noisy space inside your head. I think it's a really different context. People will maybe look at those years and be more forgiving, and maybe you can be more forgiving as well.
Yeah, I think especially my first time in Big Brother, I was called Hurricane Tully, Typhoon Tully. And there was a lot of discourse online about my emotions, about how much I cried, about, why does this girl care so much? Why does she care? She just met these people. Why does she get so upset? But feeling very deeply is one of the biggest traits of ADHD.
Well, I was going to say, literally your last podcast was Too Much Tully. You have been called over and again, too much, too emotional, too anxious. When we think about these battles that you were kind of going through, were these just undiagnosed ADHD traits?
100%.
Yeah.
Being called too sensitive, intense. That was
intense.
Intense.
Oh, it's such like an awful word, right? Because it's like you're too much you.
Yeah. You're too much for me right now.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, chill out. Like, tone it down. Just turn it down a notch. All of those traits were my ADHD showing up. The emotional dysregulation, which is basically struggling to regulate my feelings once they arrive. So your highs feel higher, your lows feel heavier. That is a huge part of ADHD.
Oh, wow.
And that has been what I've struggled with most throughout my life. And then there is the rejection sensitivity, which is when even small bits of criticism, constructive feedback, or even perceived rejection feel devastating and out of proportion to what has actually happened. And that is also something that I've struggled with my whole life. That is something that has been an issue of contention between Ned and I, because he is the sweetest, kindest boy, and he will say the simplest bit of feedback. Something as simple as, hey, maybe next time can we not pop my very expensive designer jumper through the dryer? And whilst my knee-jerk reaction is to say, do it yourself then.
I was going to say, are we complaining about the washing, Ned?
It's a really completely normal bit of feedback.
Right.
But I take that as I'm a terrible girlfriend. I can't do anything right.
It snowballs.
Yeah.
It snowballs.
And even my strong sense of justice, I've always had a really strong sense of right and wrong.
Yes.
I believe if you follow the rules, you should be rewarded for doing the right thing. My obsession with fairness, with the good guys winning and playing by the rules, that's a really common trait of ADHD as well. And that's something else that has really plagued me. I get really locked on to things being right or wrong.
Yes. And I have to say, as a best friend of yours for almost 20 years.
17 years,
yeah. When I think of the arguments that we've had, it's a very binary place to be in. It's like, you're either this or you're this. You're right or you're wrong, or you're coming or you're not coming. And I think like we both have that behavior. It's been wonderful to watch you explore the grey in the middle and be comfortable in the grey in the middle.
Do you know what my first realization about the fact that life isn't always black and white was actually my monumental stuff up on Big Brother. Because had you asked me before my first season of Big Brother,
is cheating okay,
or whether you could love two people at once, I would have said no. What?
Yeah,
you can't fall for the second person if you love the first person. And then suddenly I found myself in this position where I did love two people at once.
And it's kind of sounding like all of these experiences that most of us go through as we get older and get wiser and, age, you've done it with like the volume turned up. So like all of us go through heartbreak. All of us break others' hearts and learn lessons, but maybe have it in a milder experience. You've done it, but it's been like massive highs, massive lows.
And I think that's why as well, breakups have always really rocked me. Like you've seen me go through breakups and we could have even been dating for a couple of weeks.
Oh, inconsolable.
But they ruin me.
Yes.
They really tear me up.
And I think it's that rejection dysphoria again.
And so for years I internalized all of this as flaws in my personality. And I really beat myself up about all of it. And I listened to others that told me that it was wrong, that I was too sensitive, too much, too loud. And so now I can see it for what it is, which is just a brain that works a little bit differently.
It's so nice to hear you talk about this. It's making me feel fucking emotional as well. Because do you know what I'm hearing? There was so much you didn't like about yourself. I don't think even I knew that.
Yeah.
I think,
Thanks, Ali. Really is the king of the show.
I just need you to know that we've BYO'd tissues today.
I had to bring my own tissues because they only have toilet paper at the studio.
26-year-old male, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I have I'm so hard on myself. I don't think anyone realizes how hard I am on myself and how nasty and unforgiving the voice in my head is. And it's always been like that. And that's why when I got all that trolling in 2013, I always said that nothing anybody could write about me on the internet is going to be worse than what I tell myself in my head.
Oh my God, yeah, totally. Totally. You can't hate me as much as I hate myself. So this diagnosis is bigger than just going, hey, there was some behavioral stuff that I noticed about myself. This for you was validating some pretty big feelings.
It just put everything into perspective. I'd done so much work on myself. Yeah. I'd gotten the abandonment issues under control. I'd gotten this sort of, my tendency to date narcissists because I didn't feel I was worthy of being loved. I'd finally made friends with the beast that is my anxiety. And I kind of thought that I'd figured it all out. And then it wasn't until I met Ned and he held this mirror up to me, which allowed me to, for the first time, be my actual self, mask off. Yeah. Because I didn't realize that I'd been masking my entire life. And being with someone who loved me through all of it and made me finally feel secure that he wasn't going anywhere allowed me to take that mask off. But it also made me look in the mirror and go,
there's still something here.
My brain's very different to your brain.
Yeah, wow.
Because he's so neurotypical.
Yes, yes.
Bless him.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, a lot of the people that are close to you in your life probably got ADHD as well. Can you maybe tell us though, because I think we're all pretty au fait at this point with masking as, say, an autistic person. As an ADHD person though, what are masking behaviors that you were doing?
As an example, the first one that comes to mind is an ex-boyfriend of mine would often tell me that, he'd laugh at me for being so emotional. I remember we were watching something on TV, probably something like, not even that emotional, like
news.
Like a game show where like a beautiful mother of four just won $20,000, something like that. And he would lean forward to look at me and go, "You're not crying, are you?"
I know exactly who that was.
So I would mask how I was feeling emotionally, whether it was watching a sad movie, at an event, whatever. I would keep my tears in. I'd try and swallow them back or blink them away. I thought that it was silly.
Yeah,
it was silly to be that emotional.
Wow.
But I'd been masking my whole life. Walking into an event that I was really nervous for or excited about, I would be telling myself in my head, all right, play it cool, calm down.
Yeah.
Don't be too much.
Yeah, wow.
Don't bulldoze people.
I'm going to have 17 drinks just to try and get to everyone else's level. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just wild to think that for someone who thought that they'd done so much work and was so self-aware, I'd actually been hiding behind a mask for most of my life.
So you're 37.
Thank you for reminding me. Almost 38.
I was trying to deliver that with as little nuance as possible. It is birthday month, by the way.
It is? Wait, not yet. Yours, maybe yours.
Yours?
No, mine's October.
Oh my God. Every year.
It's because we're the same star sign. It's all right.
Yeah.
Close enough.
It's the 29th of September, Tully's birthday. And you're like, that is not my birthday. The reason I remind you of your old age is, it's quite late in life to be diagnosed. This feels like something we're seeing a lot. You've mentioned it, TikTok, all the social channels. It's a hot topic. We're seeing people being diagnosed late in life. Why do you think it's taking until now for people to be diagnosed or even to be like looking into it?
Well, it's not just people, it's women. There is a huge surge in late diagnoses for ADHD in women. And that is because women have never fit into the old stereotype, which is hyperactive little boys bouncing off walls, throwing trucks across classrooms. That was my understanding of ADHD was, we all had a little guy.
Hyperactive.
We all had a little boy in our class, that couldn't sit still, had ants in his pants.
God, I want to say his name right now. But yes, I can see him running around our school. Oh, actually, no, he was trotting around the school oval,
parkour.
Like a horse.
Off the couch and onto the wall like a pinball.
Yeah, right. You're right. That is the kind of cliche
that's what you think
version.
of, right? Okay. So, and that's because nearly all the research and diagnostic criteria were based on males, which is quite infuriating. But for women, ADHD often shows up more internally. It shows up as daydreaming, emotional intensity, burnout, and masking. So whilst the little boy over there was throwing a truck at the teacher, I was quietly sitting in the corner ruminating in my head, coming up with all kinds of fantasy lands and or I was being a perfectionist. I was scrunching up my colouring page because I went outside the lines.
And I can see why that might have shown up or been misperceived as anxiety. It's not the same thing.
So anxiety, a lot of women find that they are misdiagnosed with anxiety, with bipolar, when really it was ADHD all along. And I think social media has finally given women the language and the representation and the mirror for them to recognize themselves and say, that's me.
And there's a lot of dialogue around self-diagnosis using the internet and, like being really wary of that. Any doctor, psychologist, whatever, will say, don't self-diagnose, don't research. But I think there's like a great power to having this like absolute influx of global information. And if you've got 50,000 women around the world all telling the same story and going, these were my signs, I think, we've got to kind of keep up and go, what an amazing tool to figure it out.
100%. And also we have to realize that some of these TikToks are actually psychologists, psychiatrists, people in the industry, in the field that have the degrees, that have the knowledge.
Not like us.
No, not experts. But yeah, of course, you can see TikToks by Joe Blow in their living room.
Yeah.
But I was really locking onto and saving and finding the most interesting and educational were the TikToks from psychiatrists, psychologists, people that specialize in this
5
field.
signs that you might have ADHD.
And when you've watched, as I said before, when you've watched your 100th video and you're ticking all the boxes, I think it's absolutely worth looking into more.
So I've got a question for you. We talk a lot about people being diagnosed with ADHD. It's one thing to be diagnosed. It's one thing to be medicated. And I have had a number of female friends who have been diagnosed with ADHD. And the question was, do you feel like it's interrupting your life or causing any poor habits? To which they would say, not really. And they now just live with ADHD unmedicated. What was the difference between you being medicated and being unmedicated?
So when I got my diagnosis, I was rated ADHD combined.
Okay.
Back in the day.
High five.
Back in the day, it used to be, I know, right? Overachiever. Back in the day, it used to be called ADD or ADHD. It's now just ADHD.
Okay.
But you can be diagnosed with sort of more AD, so more attention deficit, or more HD, or so more hyperactive deficit.
Right.
Or, like me, you can be both.
All of them.
Why don't we have both? But when I got my diagnosis, I was rated on the moderate scale.
Okay.
And that word made me
can do better.
Bulk a little. Well, actually, I was like, what moderate?
Average, thanks.
But what moderate meant was that it is currently affecting my day-to-day life.
Got it.
There is a reason I felt pushed to get the diagnoses. It was causing disruptions. It was causing distress. I was feeling overwhelmed. I was feeling out of control of my own brain.
Right.
And despite the fact that I have spent my entire life fighting off medication, for what reason, I'm not sure. I felt like I had something to prove, that it was a failure if I went to medication. I got to this point, and it was during this process where I was like, why have I been army crawling my whole life.
I remember this conversation.
Well, because we had a conversation years ago. It was actually you. In fact, I've been quoting you to many, many people over the years.
Yeah.
I remember you said to me years ago that life does not have to be this hard.
Oh.
And at the point of looking into this, life was feeling pretty hard. And by the time I got diagnosed, I was at the point where I was like, give me the meds. I want to at least try them. I want to at least see how they might be able to help.
Right.
You know, and it doesn't have to be a forever thing.
No.
And my doctor said that. She said, listen, you can go on them for a bit. The goal is to get you back down to the low level.
Yes.
And then maybe you go off them.
Yeah.
But right now, you're moderate. It's affecting your day-to-day life. And my recommendation would be for you to try some. And I did. The first time ever I've ever been on medication, and it has changed my life.
Yeah, welcome to the dark side. So can you tell us about that? Like, I know as one of your best friends, I've seen a marked change in you. I think you're calmer. I think that you feel reasonable in a way that in the past, you know, we've really like been at war over dumb shit. Like we'll go out and you'll order a drink and I'll order a drink and we'll have a fight about something over the one drink. And it's like, okay, we've been here for 15 minutes. What do you think are the biggest changes that you've seen in yourself?
There are so many. Medication has truly changed my life. I guess firstly, my career, I think it's been a really obvious one. I have never been more focused or motivated. I get up and I have 100 ideas. I feel focused. I feel calmer. I'm able to control where my attention span goes. I just feel more in control of my brain in general. It hasn't changed. I know there's a fear, and I had the same fear, that it would change my personality. I love the way I am. I love that I'm high energy and that I am passionate.
Yes.
And I didn't want that to change, and it hasn't at all. What it's given me is the ability to be able to control and siphon where that focus and energy goes. And it's changed my relationship in a way where my emotional regulation is much better.
Yeah.
So Ned still annoys the shit out of me sometimes, as all partners do.
Yeah.
But he used to come home, and if he didn't put his shoes where they were supposed to go,
it's World War III.
That could be World War III. That could be a night of arguing.
Yeah.
Because it grinded my gears so bad that I would have what's what I'm
unrealistic,
disproportionate. I'd have disproportionate reaction to it. And then once I would start snowballing, you couldn't be stopped.
Right, because the noise inside your brain is just like,
and his reaction to it as well, him thinking, this isn't a big deal. That makes me, you know. And now he'll come home and chuck them somewhere they don't belong. And I'll clock it and I'll go, that's annoying.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that's it.
Or I'll say, or better, I'll say, hey, babe, can you, when you have a moment, chuck them? He's like, yeah, no worries.
Ladies and gentlemen, healthy communication. Round of applause.
But I think beyond that, I'm kinder to myself. Instead of berating myself for not being disciplined enough, I've started asking what actually works for my brain. I've stopped chasing the idea of fixing myself and started focusing on supporting myself. And honestly, like that shift alone has been huge. Like, okay, cool. What scaffolding do you need to make your day run as smoothly as possible?
Yeah.
If you need to set an alarm to say you have to leave the house in 15 minutes,
do it.
Start getting ready now.
Totally. Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
And so I'm just getting better at not beating myself up.
Yes.
And instead reminding myself that my brain is just wired differently.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
So how can we help your brain work to the best of its ability today?
So that's really interesting, Tal. Like, that's a great example, setting an alarm to be like, you've got to get ready to leave the house. Since your diagnosis, now you've had time to sit with it and to sort of maybe research it some more and really get used to it and certainly be now medicated for it. How has it changed how you structure your days and your relationships, maybe even your work? You're a writer. How does your life look different now?
It looks a lot different. Everything from the fact that we now have a Perspex magnetic calendar on our fridge.
Oh.
So every Sunday I'll write what we have on each night.
Yes.
Visual reminders really help. I have a to-do pinned notes in my phone. So it's pinned at the top. And every night before bed, I will lie there and I'll write what I have to do for the next day.
Amazing.
Because often I'll get up and be like, wait, I knew I had like 7 things I needed to do today.
I have the feeling of urgency, but not sure why.
Exactly. I've also, you know, through continued work with my psychiatrist and my psychologist, and there are so many great resources and books available that I'm happy to share with anybody.
Let's link them in the show notes. They sound great. Yeah.
Communicating when I'm feeling overwhelmed or setting expectations. Hey, Ned, if you're going to be late tonight, can you let me know ahead of schedule? If I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, sensory things like chewing on ice, eating sour lollies.
Really?
Yeah.
This sort of just like
the sour
rewires
sensation kind of distracts you. Like it's a circuit breaker.
That's all the excuse I needed.
Yeah.
I'm going to rush out and buy some.
I always talk about the tool belt, right?
Yeah.
Like going to therapy gives you your tool belt with all the tools you know you need to self-soothe.
But you need to know what the thing is that you're soothing first, right?
Yeah.
So you needed to know that it wasn't anxiety, it wasn't whatever, it was ADHD, and here are the tools that are specific to you.
Yeah, and do you know what's crazy? My anxiety has been slim to none since being diagnosed and medicated.
Wow.
It really must have just been ADHD rearing its ugly head, undiagnosed, untreated ADHD.
Raw dogging
life. And now my anxiety is so much more manageable. I can't even tell you the last time I had a panic attack.
Wow.
And
and that's big for you. That's
huge.
Big for you because there was some like pretty gnarly years there that it was controlling your life.
Yeah.
Tull, I am so proud of you. This has been a really big episode. I think that, you know, I wasn't even sure that we were going to do it.
I know.
So I think, you know, like amazing work. I think what people listening may not realize that it sounds easy to sit on a couch and talk about this stuff freely and so eloquently that you have, but cracking open your life and spilling it out for people to listen to is really bloody hard. So big ups for you. This has been amazing.
Thanks, man.
There is someone listening to this that's going to go, that's me. I think what you've also done is a pretty amazing job around naming the emotions with this diagnosis. It's like it's not been this big jumble. It's actually been some pretty clear stages. It's relief, grief, validation. You've allowed it all to like coexist. And I think holding space for that's really important as well. It's not all good. It's not all bad. It's both. It's all of it.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps to dismantle shame and give permission for others to feel the same way. I'm not going to really chat on because I'm very aware that this is absolutely a medical space. And if you do think you've got ADHD, bloody thrash TikTok for sure. But the place that you need to go is a doctor and a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and that is your space. So I'm not going to even try to be a therapist today. No tie, no therapy. But what I will say is there's something that maybe we haven't touched on, and there's another player in your story. I think it's timing. We're at essentially mid-stage in our life. I'm not calling it a midlife crisis, but we're mid-stage. We've got as much in the rearview mirror as we do in front of us.
Oh, God, that's terrifying.
It is terrifying. So I think it is a really weird time to be getting this diagnosis and, like you said, look back with this new lens. And I think whether or not you have a diagnosis or something else, a lot of us are dealing with grief, looking back at memories and going, if only I'd done this, or if only I'd known this. So I think giving yourself some grace in that as well. Your story is what your story is. And it was meant to go the way that it did. So maybe this is our first lesson in keeping eyes ahead, not behind. Nostalgia and grief and retrospective thinking is all normal, but it needs to be balanced with looking forward. And I'm so excited to hear how excited you are about the future. It's a kind of new thing for you, and I'm really happy. And then, you know, just to close off, I just want to say I don't think that ADHD has to hold a negative weight. It definitely used to, like you touched on, but we're in a world that's pretty quickly picking up on neurodiversity, and I think what you've been given is this roadmap to your brain. And how exciting is that? I suspect the roadmap to my brain would look like a Dr. Seuss maze with like 17 giraffes in the middle, but you know.
Yeah, or like maybe snakes and ladders. Mine would be Candyland.
Do you know what all I'm going to think of for the rest of today is salworms.
I should have brought some.
Give me some worms.
Either way, you know, it wouldn't be an episode of Self-Helped without a little therapy homework. And this one is for my fellow ADHDers, but can absolutely apply to everyone. We want you this week to work on reframing the labels you've been given to over the years.
Yep. We want you to make a list of the too much labels you've been given over the years. Too sensitive, too disorganized, too intense. Next to each one, rewrite it as a strength. For example, if you're too sensitive, no, you're actually deeply empathetic. Reframe that shame.
A late ADHD diagnosis can feel both heartbreaking and freeing, but it also rewrites years of being labelled too much into finally understanding your brain was wired differently all along. And now that you know where you're heading and you've got the map, the journey doesn't have to feel so hard anymore.
And if it does, there's always sour worms. Love you, Tal.
Love you. We're going to hear from GoTo, the people who make self-help possible. Hold tight, we'll be back in a minute.
All right, so as the years clock over, it's time I get a bit more serious about my skincare. And apparently the answer is retinol.
Not just any retinol, GoTo's very amazing retinol. It's clinically proven and it's the go-to vitamin A for beginners, skin intellectuals, and every face in between.
We're talking results, reducing the appearance of fine lines by up to 40%, wrinkles by up to 30%, and pigmentation by up to 70%.
Sign me up. Who needs 8 hours of sleep when you've got this little bottle?
Don't say that. People will come for us. Sleep matters.
True. So let's just say brighter, firmer, smoother skin, no fuss, and no 7,000-step routine.
Bottom line, if you've been scared of trying vitamin A, this is the one you've been looking for.
Gentle, effective, and makes you look like you've got it together, even if you don't. And important, don't forget your daily SPF, and very amazing retinol isn't suitable if you're pregnant or breastfeeding.
Find out more at www.gotoskincare.com.
Welcome to our self-help scoop of the week, where we pull apart something newsworthy like Uncle Jim pulls apart the prawns at Christmas. The segment that legitimizes the word journalist on my LinkedIn profile and makes those 3 years at Charles Sturt University Bathurst all worth it.
Also, the segment that reminds you that we can be funny, observant, pop culture princesses, as well as trauma-dumping Temu therapists. Temu therapists?
I want that in a t-shirt.
That's a good one. All right. Well, I actually am bringing to the table a very good news story today. What did you call it last week? A palate cleanser. Do you know it?
Yes. So, full disclosure, I have not seen what Maggie brought to the table until right now, but I saw that and I was going to send it to you.
It's so good. Okay, so I'll read you what I saw on the internet this morning and thought that's something we need to share. In East Texas, 11 women in their 60s to 80s have built a tiny home village so that they could all grow old together. They've called it the Bird's Nest, and it's made up by row of colourful little houses surrounded by gardens, dogs, and this was a detail they had to add in, little twinkle lights. They share meals, care for each other, pool resources, and have one golden rule. We wouldn't be able to live here.
I was going to say.
No drama. Isn't it gorgeous?
Do you know what, Mags? I saw that and I almost sent it to you because you and I have often talked about starting like a commune.
Absolutely.
Moving in together. I remember when I was single and it used to really melt my heart. When I was single and contemplating solo parenting or starting a family on my own, you were always like, do it, girlfriend. I'll move in next door. I'll help you bring up your baby.
Give me that baby.
We'll do it together.
Yes.
This is the sweetest, most wholesome, brilliant idea I've ever heard.
Just no notes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Immediate yes. I can't see any issue with this. I have one small question. Male visitors, do you think they're allowed to drop in but then have to leave? They're like, look, you can stay till 10 a.m., then you're out.
I think so. And also, I mean, the no drama rule, that does concern me.
Maybe this could be exclusively drama.
What constitutes drama? Like, what does one have to do to prove that they don't bring any drama?
I would say that if you look it up in the dictionary, there is a picture of you and I there.
If you Google me, maybe don't Google me because drama is my middle name.
Don't do that. I think, look, we could have maybe a retirement home for drama queens. It could be very dramatic.
And everyone gets to wear crowns.
I love it.
And eat little sandwiches with no crusts on them and iced Vovos.
And I don't think we'll have anyone else in our retirement village, just you, me, and maybe Ali and his strapless bra. I don't feel like I've got anything else to say on this except for, can someone please hurry up and start one here? I need to know what my retirement plan is.
I'm so glad that we're doing this today. I've had to fight really hard for this segment. MK was not having a bar of it at first.
No, ma'am.
But since I've dumped my neurospicy trauma today, I get to pick the fun and silly segment at the end of the show.
Oh, there you go. It's your dessert after your meal. Good work. So not everyone is as weirdly close with their exes as you, Tully. Most of us normies like to cut the cord and run and never speak their names ever again.
Voldemort. True. No, I do have a habit of collecting exes and forcing them to be my friends, like my old Beanie Baby collection.
Oh.
It's unusual, but I've always figured like life's too short to have enemies. Anyway, we have both put aside our pride and our feelings and our ego to the side, and we've reached out to old flames to ask for a bit of an exit interview.
Why are we doing this? All in the name of good entertainment. Is it terrifying? Yes. Is it psychotic? Yes, but we've done it. We've reached out to several ex-partners to ask for a few sentences on why, in their opinion, we didn't work out. So we can take the hopefully constructive feedback and, I don't know, continue to learn and grow and evolve.
Like Pokemon. Okay, Mags, you can keep the star-crossed lover anonymous if you so wish. But what was your chat with relationship HR like?
Now, I would like to preface this by saying I reached out to 2 ex-boyfriends who I am still quite good friends with. One gave me a glowing review, and I thought, no,
That's too
not
nice.
interesting. That's not any good.
So what, you've gone for the savage one?
So I've gone for the savage one, and this person has ended up being a very, very dear friend of mine. I consider him one of my best friends now.
He actually bought me my microwave.
He bought Tully a microwave. I will maybe never talk to him again after receiving this. So without further ado, my exit interview.
Can you do it like an HR voice?
What was I going to say? Check out aisle 3. Characterized by intrusive, obsessive thoughts and punctuated by waves of emotional dependency, Chapter 1 of our non-relationship was completely non-reciprocal. Me chasing you. Me completely infatuated by you. Because you were wild and rebellious. It wasn't until I realized how ludicrous a real relationship would be with someone so deeply entrenched in the hot, crazy quadrant that I stepped slowly away.
At least you're hot.
It's not over. And in a twist akin to a classic trash romance arc, the tables turned, and you then became the obsessed, and I became the victim, the prey, and the target. I became your limerent object, like once you were mine. And then we both grew up and realized we were better as siblings than dating.
So many twists and turns there.
It was so brutal. I read this in a meeting at work and I was like, am I a terrible person?
No, you're not.
Sorry, what were the words he used? Wild and rebellious. We can take that.
Also hot. Hot, crazy quadrant.
Hot, crazy quadrant. I'm okay with that. That wasn't news. All right, your turn.
Okay. I think we didn't work out because we were basically running 2 different operating systems. You were like a Type A Pro Max with extra anxiety pack, and I was running Type B Island Time Edition with a she'll be right filter.
Oh, that's good.
Probably also because you wanted a Google Calendar invite for Wednesday, June 14th dinner at 6:37 p.m, which was 6 months in advance, and I got shitty if I was locked into plans more than an hour in advance. You liked fine dining, I didn't like venues that made you wear shoes. You liked cocktails and wines, I hated drinking. You faked to like the beach and smoking, and then told me it was all an act once we started dating. I couldn't make it through a single work shift without getting panic texts like, are you still alive? When will you be home? Should I come to the pub window to check on you? Can you come check on me? When it came to fights, my idea of conflict resolution was a 2-hour surf and yours was a 3-hour TED Talk with slideshows about our feelings and why I was most likely wrong. I actually think that we are polar opposites, but they do say opposites attract, but they also drive each other insane. Sometimes I think the same quirky things we find really endearing during the honeymoon period are often things that ick and irk us the most when the honeymoon period wears off. Do you want me to keep going? I can probably keep going. I said, good Lord, no thanks, that's plenty.
I think I said the same thing. I said, thank you, ? Okay, so here's what I'm hearing. Aren't we lucky that we found someone?
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, okay, that was brutal. So
let's just end on that. I think sorry is what we should just end on.
All right, babes, we'd love to keep chatting and share all the hate notes from our exes, but sadly our time is up for today. Tully, will that be cash, card, or sour worm?
Ali has to go home and try some more bras on. Lucky for you guys, Self-Help is all about free advice from two women who have spent a lot of money on theirs.
Yeah, just to be told to eat sour worms. Don't know about that. Every week we'll be inviting you to pull up a chair and let us spill the tea on what we've learned, not just from therapy, but from the roller coaster of life.
The wins, the mess, and the surprisingly sound advice we've gotten from strange women in doctors' bathrooms at 2 a.m. What? And the surprisingly sound advice we've gotten from strange women in doctors' waiting rooms. We're here for each other and hopefully for you too.
If you like what you've heard, hit subscribe, leave us a glowing review, and follow us on Instagram at selfhelpedpod. Clearly, validation is our love language.
We'll be back in your ears every Thursday wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Thank you for tuning in to Self-Helped.
We'll see you at your next appointment. Please don't be late.
This episode was brought to you by GoTo, undeniably effective, effortless skincare. Find out more at gotoskincare.com.
We'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people, the traditional owners of the land on which we've recorded today's episode, and pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging.
Always was, always will be.